companies must spend are called set aside. So remember that term if you weren't familiar, okay? Also, the next thing that I want to talk about is that set asides can take various forms. And you're going to see that today as a globally accredited trainer. That's my background. I'm not just going to jump to certifications. I'm going to give you the historical view to connect it for you, because you ladies really need to understand where all of this is coming from. What is the government, the municipal, the Congress? What is the charge that equals you getting the contract? You need to understand that lineage, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into this. So set-asides can take various forms, ladies, and nobody really talks about this, so I'm gonna break it down. The first form that a set-aside can take, and remember, these set-asides are across all sectors. So there are set-asides in federal government, there are set-asides in the corporate sector, and there are set-asides in local and state government. Okay, and I'm going to ask y'all to mute just because I'm getting some background. All right, so let's talk about the first set asides. The first set asides are like percentage goals. So an organization may say, our set asides for women-owned businesses are that we are going to aim to do a percentage in 2024 where we spend, Taishiba, this much, right, with women-owned businesses. And that's how it works, right? So if a company says, hey, 27% of our contracts will go to women-owned businesses, then they have a percentage goal around their set asides. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, Elizabeth and everyone. Next, contract size thresholds can also be a set aside. What does that mean, Katie? That means that a big organization may say, hey, we're going to do our set aside by spend and contract size. We agree that $10 million in contracts will go to women-owned businesses. By the way, that's also considered diverse spend. So if you hear this terminology, I want you to start to adopt it and really live in this space, okay? The third type of set aside that people aren't talking about is an industry specific set aside, Teresa. And this would be if a company says, hey, we're going to allocate this much diverse spend in the cybersecurity space or the healthcare space, right? Or the education space. Now, why would a company do that? The question is, what might be their goals and agenda for doing this, Adrian? And sometimes, ladies, companies will do this based on their social impact. So if a particular organization, let's take Atrium Health or one of the big healthcare organizations, they might say, Keisha, that, hey, we're going to have set asides for women who have independent companies in that healthcare industry, right? And that could be medical supplies, ladies. That can be not HR, but that could be healthcare consulting. That could even be hospice, right? I think Angel on here it has that background. So keep in mind so far that there are industry specific set asides, contract threshold set asides, and percentage set asides. But there are also set asides for reserved bidding opportunities. And before I talk through this, reserved bidding opportunities are going to be classified groups, like classification groups. For example, a company might say, persons with disability, that's going to be our target this year for a minority group. By the way, the word minority is really tricky here because you have race and ethnicity minority groups, and then you have social class minority groups. And people just automatically think the term minority means like Black, Hispanic, that, right? But so you have to separate. And I'm sharing this with you so you understand the language of where you're headed as you move forward in your path to suppliership. Okay, this is very important. So as we talk about non-race minority groups, and by the way, minority meaning marginalized communities, right? Underrepresented communities. Those are represented by like veteran status, for example, persons with disability, right? Non-race, veteran, non-race, persons with disability, non-race, okay? LGBT, non-race. It's important to know this because there was a new law that just passed, ladies, that could threaten this whole minority ethnic aspect anyway, meaning the law that was passed real fast, just to educate you quickly, in the summer, there was the 6-3 ruling. It's very important to us as women-owned businesses in the supplier diversity space because that Congress ruling could impact us. And so what I'm saying is, if you were a woman in business and you used to say, well, I'm Latina or I'm Black or I'm right, in a minute, their race is going to be put to the side because these companies see that as a liability with this new ruling. And instead, they're going to lean into the other minority classifications that are non-race, like persons with disability, LGBT, veteran. I think you get my drift. So those are reserved bidding opportunities. And then last but not least, there are set asides around subcontracting. So a company, and I've ran into this as leading Queen City Women in Business on your behalf, there are some companies who do not have a diverse spend goal for you as a prime. And we're going to talk about what is a prime, Dawn Nicole. But instead, they will say, we want 30% of women to be subcontractors. That means a prime can be one of those big companies, right? But then they will mandate that these big companies spend 5% or 10% or 25% of that contract with you and I as women-owned businesses, where they make us a subcontractor. Does that if it makes sense, give me a reaction, a thumbs up, a heart, a thumb. Yes, thank you all. It is too early for no interaction, honey. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies. All right. So hopefully this slide makes sense. Take a picture. I think this is a great way to explain how the big organizations see this. So I'll give everyone a moment to take a quick pic, and then we're going to move on because there's going to be other exciting content that we have for you. All right. So ladies, set asides. Now that you understand what that is, understand that set asides are typically managed through supplier diversity programs. Now, you might be saying, Dawn Nicole, I know that, but let me explain. There are so many accomplished women out there who have been in business 10 years, and they've been doing it alone. They've been doing their own marketing, a one-woman show, doing the small business, sending out $2,000, $3,000 invoices, and they never even heard of a supplier diversity program or knew or connected the dot that means them. That's why I do this work. That's why I started this company, ladies, to get the word out. So let's talk about supplier diversity programs. What does that mean? And what is your role, our role in this? Okay. So a supplier diversity program is a proactive business strategy that encourages the use of diverse suppliers in the procurement process across all sectors. So we're talking about big corporate. Yes, they have a supplier diversity program. We're talking about the federal government. Yes, they have a supplier diversity program. And we're talking about local and state government. Yes, they all have supplier diversity programs. You will be hard pressed not to find a major organization without a supplier diversity program, because what they all recognize is that it's important to have. And pay attention to that word diverse supplier, because that's you. That's you. So if you've been walking around or going around doing your thing and you've heard the term supplier, it means the same as vendor. It means the same as contractor. And in this capacity, that's you, that's me, that's us. We are the suppliers. Okay. Now, as we talk about this term, it's important for you to embrace two other terms. You can't talk about supplier diversity without understanding the difference in positioning between a prime and a subcontractor. Because I think we just toss these terms around and we assume people really know. So I'm going to go really basic today to make sure everyone really understands this. So prime contractor versus subcontractor. Let's start with the similarities and then we'll go to the differences. So how are they similar? There are some key similarities between the prime contractor and the subcontractor, in that both prime contractors and subcontractors share a commitment to the outcome, to the project's success. That means if Queen City Women in Business, wins a huge RFP, that would mean we're a prime. We were awarded the work, we own the relationship with the business client, the corporate client. And now let's say I want to pull in Henrietta and Kimberly to be my subs, right? That would make them a sub, that would make me a prime. And so that relationship between the subs would be with Henrietta's company and Kimberly's company in Queen City Women in Business, and not with the big corporation who awarded me the contract. In fact, you may never even engage with them, okay? Secondly, what are the differences though? Here's the key difference. The primary contractor is solely responsible. No matter how we all play team in the background, ultimately the responsibility falls on me to deliver on time and on budget, right? And within compliance. So that prime contractor is solely responsible for the overall management of this project, this RFP, including its coordination, ladies, its communication with the client, and overseeing the subcontractors, which can be a whole ordeal in and of itself, okay? So it's really important as we use these words loosely to understand specifically what they mean and how they impact us. I'm gonna take a pause here. I'm gonna look at the chat just to see if anyone has asked a question or if they have a question so far. Any questions? I could take one or two before we move on. Awesome, let's keep going. All right. All right, so now that we talked about supplier diversity programs and we talked about prime contractor versus subcontractor, we're getting ready to talk about the sectors, because I use that word all the time, assuming you know what I mean. So while all sectors share this terminology, ladies, they use the word prime contractor, they use the word subcontractor, right? They have varying supplier diversity goals and diverse spend targets. And this is where it gets tricky. This is why you won't see just one certification, one umbrella certification across the board, because it's by sector. So when you hear me talk, I tell you, don't think certification, think sector first. But what are the sectors? Well, there's the corporate sector. Okay, so the corporate sector is often known as the private sector. This is your big banks. This is your big oil company. This could be healthcare, right? So again, these are for-profit companies, big organizations, right? And sometimes we don't even think of different companies as corporate, like Boeing or a hospital, private corporate sectors, okay? But then you have local and state government. When you think about local and state government, this is typically in my city, in my county, in my state. And traditionally, we see local and state government offer RFPs around education, school systems, universities, highways, transportations, things that impact where I live, work, and play, local and state. Okay. Then you have big federal, big government. You have that government sector. And here's what's interesting about the government sector. I want you to think, in some cases, Department of Defense, USDA, agriculture, the things that mandate us as a US nation. Federal sector. What's really interesting about the federal sector is that once you get that federal certification, and we're going to go through that certification slide in just a second, once you get that, you can live in Wisconsin and you can take an RFP in the federal sector that's somewhere in LA or Arizona. As long as you can prove you can get there and do the work, you can take that work. Yeah, okay. Also in the federal sector, you'd be interested to know that there are some primes and some suppliers who have a long past performance track record, and they're not even specialists in that industry, but they're connectors. That means they go for the work, ladies. I want you to hear me because there's a lot of people doing this. They compete for the RFP, they win it, and then they can demonstrate and show, I can go get medical suppliers. I can go order a fleet of buses, right? I don't have to do it. I know how to have access to it and get it. And they coordinate this, they position this in the RFP, and they win the work. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I have the specialty, but if you know how to bring it together, the first thing is if you can demonstrate strong past performance, your capability that you're good at connecting and sourcing and bringing these things together, you don't always have to be the one with the talent. It's a whole nother topic. So let's keep going. I think I see a question in the chat. What is RFP? Thank you for asking this question. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna try not to get derailed, but there are 3 notes I want you to take today. There's RFI, there's RFQ, and there's RFP. Very important terms. I'm gonna tell you what they mean in a second. I also want you to know there's a whole online training program that I put together so that when I'm not rushing like this, it gives you all the same information and more than what we give in this series. I'll send the link. But so a RFI is where the process starts, ladies. Typically a RFI is a request for information. They don't want pricing yet. They don't want a proposal. They just want to know about you and the background of your company. And I'm going to have to do a whole segment on this because I don't cover it deeply here. The second thing is RFQ, requests for question or request for quote, right? Request for quotation, okay? RFQ. So this is saying, okay, you gave me the information about your company. I like what I'm hearing. Quote me. What would this cost me? Approach, time, solution, specialty. What are we talking here? Okay. And then you have an RFP, a request for proposal. Sometimes an RFP could be a company's first and only thing. An RFP may mean that they're getting RFI, RFQ information and the proposal in one shot. So sometimes you'll just see a company go straight to the RFP. And then sometimes, ladies, a company is just kind of teetering the water. They just want to RFI. But it's important that you understand the difference between these terms so that you know what to respond with. And it's a response. So response for information, a response for question, response for, or quotation, response for proposal. Okay. Awesome. So Crystal, I'm gonna get there. I'm getting there. All right. So let's keep on going, everyone. All right. So all sectors require you as a woman-owned business to get certified. But why? Oh, this is good because everyone says go get certified and you're like, I know I'm a woman. I look at why do I need to prove I'm a woman? Who has asked this question? Why do I need to get right, Elizabeth? Why do I need to get a certification to prove to these people, right, that I know what I'm doing? Guess what, ladies? No one has probably ever told you this. The certification has nothing to do with what you do. Oh my gosh, what? The certification has everything to do with a company's ability to prove who you are because third-party certification acts as a verification and allows them to count your contract towards their diverse spend goals. That's all it's about. They can't take your word for it. They could, but remember, let me just put it to you differently. If I'm a big organization and I do this whole supplier diversity bid, whether it's intentional and heartfelt or I'm just doing it, I could get tax breaks, right? I get certain rewards. Greg knows, right? If I'm a big company and I can prove that I did this socially impactful thing with doing business with all these women, I get perks. I get rewards. When I go for my line of credit, all of this stuff matters. So guess what I want? I want evidence and proof. Yes, Elizabeth, I trust you, but I need verification so I can count this in my numbers and my metrics. Nothing to do with you, everything to do with them being able to prove it. I'm going to pause here and let Greg interject as my expert here. Greg, go ahead and add some value here.
Thank you so much, Don Nicole. You nailed it. You nailed it. You did a great job on me. The only thing I'll add to that is it's also, to your point about a verification, it also eliminates gamesmanship or tries the best to eliminate gamesmanship. So, you are the owner of the company and you sit there and you're 51% owner at least, at minimum, right? But I, Greg Watson, as your partner who has 49%, I'm actually running and owning. I really own the company. I really control everything about the company. Well, that's not what companies want to invest in. They want to invest in you as that 51% woman owner. So that's the only thing I'll do.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so it's true. So if no one ever told you why, because sometimes understanding the why is important, right? Not just go get the certifications to be competitive, but why do I have to prove this again, right? Why is this so critical? That's why, ladies. So I always want you to be armed and empowered. Okay. All right. Next, let's move on. So this slide, this is the picture taken slide. This is the gold. This is the slide that single-handedly has helped a number of women get certified fast. Let's talk about certifications by sector. I'm getting ready to explain to you why everyone is like, I'm so confused. I got certified over here and they're not accepting it over here. Oh my God, let me explain. So remember earlier, we talked about sectors, right? Corporate, local and state government, and federal. Remember, I also told you they all have different agendas. So while they all share the same merit to have supplier diversity goals of some sort, they are different. They're coming out of different budgets, different spends, different sectors. That means that they are not all made equal. Every sector has its own organization's third-party verifiers and third-party verification system that they accept. So to make this make sense, I'm going to go one at a time. Let's start with the corporate sector. In the corporate sector, as you can see, There are several big third-party verifiers that these corporations know, like, and trust and are already partnered with. And they don't care what you say. They want you to go through them, even if you go directly to big corporate and you say, hey, my name is Lisa. I'm great at what I do. I self-certify. They'll say, that's really nice. Go see one of these people. I'm sorry, Lisa. Okay. Remember, because it's about what they can prove and verify. Okay. So who are these third-party certifying bodies? I'm going to start with CVMSDC, since that's my partner on the phone today, Carolina, Virginia, Minority Supplier Development Council. I know I always say the whole word, Greg. So CVMSDC is a part of the National Minority Supplier Development Council. And this National Minority Development Council that I think sits in New York, they have all these, see, I did my homework, Greg. So they have all these sort of jurisdictions. So Carolina, Virginia, right? The Carolinas, North and South Carolina, and Virginia is the one that Greg is right tied to. So when you see CVMSDC, they are a component of the National Minority Supplier Development Council. And that, all right. And so that certification is specifically for minority business enterprises. All right. So basically minority, this is minority upon race this time, right? So remember, right. So it's like Black, Latina, Asian, Native American, and there's a list. We're not going to go deep here, but that is specifically speaking to that group. But wait, there's more. So that's that one. And that one is called the MBE. So it's up here, right? So MBE, if you're following my arrow, via the National Minority Supplier Development Council or the CVMSDC in that jurisdiction, big corporations will accept that certification. But let's say that you're not a minority, but you are a woman business enterprise. Then you may look at women's business enterprise through WeBank. And the nice thing about WeBank is you just have to prove you're a woman, right? Be it Latina, Asian, white, or Black, right? It's an all-inclusive woman thing. So that is your WBE, your women's business enterprise, okay? Through WeBank. But you also, let's say you're a veteran. So you could also get your VBE. This is also recognized through big corporate, and you could go through Novoba to get that. And there are also some other ones out there, but Novoba is most popular, and I already know that they're on the list. But let's go further. Let's just say that you identify with being LGBTQ. By the way, you would get that certification that would say LGBTBE, which stands for LGBT Business Enterprise, in case you were curious what that means. And you're going to get that through NGLCC. Right. Also, there's an organization called GLAD that helps with that. And last but certainly not least, let's say you identify with being persons with disability. And remember, persons with disability is not just physical. It's eyes, it's ears, it's headache, right? It's all kinds of things. And if your doctor has already given you, right, prescribed you, right, or diagnosed you in this way, that's something worth exploring that these big corporations are recognizing. So this is the recognized third-party groups, ladies, WeBank, NMSDC, CVMSDC, Novoba, NGLCC, and Disability N. And these are all fee-based. So these are for a fee, and typically they take 3 to 4 months. Okay, now Greg is gonna, yep, I already see, Greg, I'm coming. So even though they're fee-based, I'm gonna tell you something that's important for you to empower you. Most of these have some kind of sponsorship hiding in the background, but if you don't ask, they don't tell. Okay, so on average, these fees are somewhere in the ballpark of $300 to $400. But if you feel like you need help, do not let the payment be a barrier. Do not, women, say, oh, I don't have that right now. Before you start the process, ask. Okay, by the way, our website has all this information. We'll get to that later. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a quick second. Greg, I'm just going to give you the floor to just talk about the process at a high level, and then we'll get to these other certifications in these sectors. So you're on mute, but it looks like it sounds good, whatever you're going to say.
Yeah, you missed the best part of what I was going to say. No, so yeah, the process itself it can be rigorous, but from the standpoint of being able to say you are who you are, you know the things you know. That is something that the corporations want to understand and know, and it's a risk factor for them. So first thing you do, I'll speak about our process, is we have a director of certification that we'd love to have you talk with first and foremost. We do all kinds of pre-certification briefings that help people understand what you're about to encounter. Once you begin the process, you can still go back and forth with us. We can do it. We can do your process and get you all the way through the process. If you have all the paperwork ready, we can get you through, and we've done it as fast as a month. So it just depends on what you're needing and what more we need to see from you. But we'll get that. You can get all that information, that pre-certification briefing, in the conversation you have with us. And then if you go to our website, there's a drop down on our website that tells you step by step what you need to do as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much for that. So listen, I already know, because we're women, we like to ask good questions, right? Some of y'all are saying, well, can I get more than one? What's the order? I promise you, I'm getting to that next, because these are all good questions you should be asking me. All right. So we're going to get to that next. Thank you, Greg, for that. Now let's talk about the second sector, local and state. So we're going to talk about local and state. So again, local and state is where I live, work, and play, my city, my county, my state. And because we started this in the Carolinas, although we're moving nationwide, what that looks like here is City of Charlotte is going to be able to give you that city view. So what City of Charlotte is going to be able to do, ladies, is they're going to be able to certify you in office, right? Meaning their office, they don't have to send it out. They can handle the SBE, the small business enterprise. However, this is where it gets a little tricky. That's why I want to explain to you today. While the City of Charlotte is also saying, yes, and we can also help you claim the minority women business enterprise. Well, they're saying that, and that's true. What happens is when you go to apply for the MWSBE through them, that part they have to handle outward at the state level. They have to send it to the hub office to certify you. So I've already had some women that said, wait, what? I'm confused. I thought you, so let me clarify. Even though they have a city level focus on the MWSBE, which is putting all those acronyms together, minority, women, small business enterprise, right? In-house, they can only give you that SBE. However, when you apply, it's going to route you to the hub office. And this is something for all my new hub certification owners, because I have a new hub certification too. I have all the sectors, and many of you are getting there. Once you get the hub certification, where the hub office of North Carolina State comes back and sends you that certification, did you know there's a last step you have to do? If you don't do it, you still won't be recognized in the City of Charlotte as having that hub certification. So let me be clear, because I don't want to confuse people. When you go and get that hub certification and that third-party office sends you that cert from the state of North Carolina, you have to take that and then send that back to the City of Charlotte, Michelle Torres and group, to say, Michelle, good news, I was hub approved. Michelle and her team then takes that and then registers you as a minority woman small business enterprise in their database. If you don't do that, they can only do you as the SBE. So you have to connect that last dot. A lot of my women members didn't know that. That's why I'm harping on that. Okay. Now, so that's that part. So that's the City of Charlotte. Now, let me tell you, there's millions of dollars. I just competed for a $3.4 million RFP with Queen City Women in Business, just to show you the power. Okay. So make sure that once you get those certifications, you start to compete. And you know what to do, and we can help you with that, okay? But let's talk about the airport. Let's say that you're not aiming for the City of Charlotte, but you have your eye on the airport. The airport has, I think, $1 billion. We just saw this yesterday, right, Greg? They have this huge remodel project, right? And a lot of us, including me, when they first became our partner, the Charlotte Douglas Airport, I thought, oh, that's heavy machinery stuff. I don't do that, right? That's hardcore fleets and transportation and construction. Guess what? They still want you as a consultant. They need business consultants. They need coaches. They need people who understand project management and program management. Yes, that's some of us. Okay. But what they also need, as Keisha learned, is they need concessions, concessionaires. When you go into the airport and you see those concession stands, they need products to sell: cupcakes, muffins, teas, candles, right? Everybody on this call has something the airport buys. So, in order to do that with the airport, you will need your ACDBE, your DBE or your ACDBE. So let me just make it make sense. The DBE is that should say disadvantaged businesses. I've been showing this slide forever and just realized that is wrong. So it's the disadvantaged business enterprise. I will correct that. The DBE. Don't let that word fool you, because when you see disadvantaged business, right, that doesn't equal airport to you. So you're like, sorry, let me explain. The DBE, the disadvantaged business enterprise, is a federal thing that has been put in place for women like us, right, and other minority businesses, so women and other groups, to be able to take advantage of federal Department of Transportation sorts of projects. So don't let the DBE fool you. Now, so all you need, if you want to be consulting or doing anything, you need your DBE to work with the airport. But let's say you want to be a concessionaire as well, then you wouldn't get your DBE, you'd get your ACDBE, which is specific to airport concessions. Okay, so that stands for Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. See, that's why I'm doing this, because it's like, wait, what? So DBE if you're non-concession, but you want to work for the airport. ACDBE if your focus is product placement and concessions. Okay. Then let's say it's not city, it's not airport, but I want to work at the state level, right? I want to work at the state level. So I want to get hub certified in SWOC, which is statewide uniform certification. So and many of us just got that certification on this call. If you haven't, just raise your hand if you just got hub certified. Way to go, Kimberly. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. Okay. So again, that's if you want to work at the state level. Let me tell you the benefits of that. Let's say that your business supports schools and education and teachers and things like that. You definitely, that's worth looking at. Okay. And then I'm going to move us along because we could be here all day. And again, these are free. So ladies, listen up. These ones are free and they generally can take 30 to 60 days, sometimes 90 days. So far, nothing we've done in this space, none of the data is showing me that it's gone over 60 days. I have people on this call right now that got their SBE through the city of Charlotte in 7 days, literally. I also have people who got both. They got the SBE through the city of Charlotte and they got their hub certification, and they did that in a matter of 45 days. So collectively, this is usually on average 30 to 60 days. Lastly, let's look at federal contracting. So federal contracting is also free, but ladies, on average, that's running you 9 to 12 months. That's running you 9 to 12 months. So let's look at the federal certifications. The most popular one for us is the WOSB. That's the Woman-Owned Small Business through SBA. And the reason it's confusing is because they use a lot of the same terms. But just know when you see that O in it, WOSBE, that's federal government. Okay, that one is a doozy. I have that one. And I'm going to tell you a little story that you want to pay attention. If you're not awake, you want to wake up now, because let me tell you something. The federal contracts are usually huge in size. They're typically multi-year contracts. We're talking 3 to 5 years where you become the prime for 3 to 5 years in this position. So when you get one, they are worth it. However, if that is where you want to start, I'm going to give you a hack right now. So this is where I need everyone to lean in. If you want to bypass that 9 to 12 months and still end up with your WOSB so you can compete in the federal space, listen to me, because I went the hard way and I learned a lesson. If you want to do that, you're going to go to WeBank. You're going to apply for the WeBank certification, which is the WBE through WeBank. Don't worry, we have all the links at this top page here. So I'll give you the links in a minute. You go to WeBank, you check the box for your WBE. WeBank is then going to ask you, while you're doing this, do you also want us to certify you for your WOSB through federal government? We have third-party authorization to do so. You're going to say yes if you want both. When you do that, although it's going to take about 4 months to get this back, you will get both of these back should you qualify for both, because that's what happened to me. And here's what happened to me. I checked both boxes and didn't know it. And then I also went the long route of going through the SBA. So I did extra work only for them to say, yeah, we'll be with you in 12 months, a whole year. And I was like distraught. And then when WeBank turned over they delivered my certifications, there were two. And I thought they made a mistake. And they said, no, we qualified you for both. You did the work. And I didn't realize it because I just went certification crazy, right? So that's a hack. Take a note. I just saved you a lot of time. You're welcome. All right. So where do I start? So before I jump into where to start, because that's what y'all want to know. Dawn Nicole, this is a lot. I need to focus. I'm going to tell you how in a second, but let me see what questions I have in the chat. Thank you, Dawn. You're welcome. Sharita. Shakara says, should we have WOSB? Yes. So real fast, I didn't mean to rush you. Let me just go back real fast. Ladies, let me say this. As many boxes that you check in a sector, I'm gonna say this again because I'm gonna go slow, because if I say go run and get them all, if you try to jump sectors and get a whole lot, that's where you can burn yourself out. So just hear me. In one sector, let's say federal government, let's say I'm in the federal government sector, and I look at all of these. Oh, 8A business development, hub zone, I think that's me. WOSB, that's definitely me. And service disabled, veteran owned small business. Oh, that's me. I was in the military. In this sector, check for all you believe you apply for. When you go to the SBA, they will actually ask you, woman-owned small business. When you're doing your WOSB, they will say, are you also a veteran? Do you want this application to qualify you for this and this? So I would say per sector, get everything in that sector that you believe you identify with. For example, to go slow again, if I'm in the corporate sector, okay, I might get my WBE because I'm a woman business enterprise. I'll probably get my MBE because I happen to be minority. If I'm veteran, I'm gonna get my VBE as well. If I identify with being disabled, I'll get that too. Now, why would I say this? Here's why. The same paperwork, the same amount of time and effort, ladies, the same documentation that you will put together and prepare and save that folder on your desktop, they're all asking for the same things with very slight nuances. You do it once, you might as well just go for it while you're in momentum. As many as you identify with in a sector, go for it. Now I'm going to okay, any questions? Because now I'm going to tell you a strategy for crossing sectors fast. Because let's say that you like the corporate sector and you like state and local. So now what, Dawn Nicole? Now what's the strategy? Would y'all like to know the strategy? If so, say aye or put your hand up. Yeah? Okay, I just need energy. It's early, I'm tired. Oh, okay. All right. So so now that I told you the secret is in sector, move as fast as you can in those certifications in sector. Now I'm going to tell you how to jump sectors very smartly. If you do it smart, you won't burn out. Here's what you do. This is what I did, and this worked for me. I started with my WeBank. Why? Because I knew it was going to take 3 to 4 months. I prepared all this documentation. I put it in a folder on my desktop and a Google Drive so that if while I'm out networking and there is a request, I could get to my docs real fast, okay? I did that. Once I did that and I submitted my WeBank application for my WBE, I understood that it was going to take me 4 months. I then literally jumped to the city of Charlotte. Why does this make sense? Because this only takes 30 days and I used the same folder information. So I start with the biggest one that I knew was going to take 3 to 4 months. I was smart because I ticked the box for my federal and my corporate with WeBank. I went to the city of Charlotte. I then applied for my SBE and I got it in about 15 days using the same documentation. That made sense. So then I actually got my SBE first, which excited me, right? And then I got these two later. That's the strategy for jumping sectors. But now let's quickly talk about with our time left. But how do you decide if you're just not sure? This sheet is going to be the goal. I know I say that on every sheet, but this one answers the question because I think my number one question is, oh my God, for my business, where do I start? Okay, watch this. I want y'all to capture this really well. Here's the first thing I'm gonna tell you. Start with the problem you solve, not what you do. Because everybody always says, oh, what I do. What is the problem you solve and for whom? That's the goal. Nobody cares about what you do. They care about the problem you can solve. If you can identify, oh, I solve teacher shortages. Yeah, that's what I do. That's a problem and I solve that. I solve there not being enough fleet vehicles, right? Distribution, supply chain. I solve what is the problem you solve and who do you solve it for? If you know that, then you can answer also this one. Now that you know the problem you solve, historically, do you know and can you document the companies or individuals you already solved it for? Dawn, why would you tell me to put that next? Because if you solve the problem, as proof that you've solved problems, you need to start creating a track record, a performance track record, right? Well, who did I solve this problem for though? Was it a school system? Was it a teacher? Was it an HR person? Like who was it? What was their role? Why would I tell you to do that? Because what you're now going to identify, thirdly, will be similarly modeled companies to the past performance track record by which you've already done. So if I do something for a major bank and it's Wells Fargo, I'm gonna start looking at Bank of America and say, I just solved this banking customer service issue for Wells Fargo. I wonder if I could do it for Bank of America or Fifth Third. So start with the problem you solve, be able to know and document the companies or individuals you solved it for, and then boom, here's the goal. Research which sector historically buys your services or solutions for the problem you solve. Because once you know number one and number two, this will prevent you from trying to sell your services to the federal government and they don't buy what you have. I'm sorry. You have to research. Do not bark up a tree, right? Unnecessarily. So researching, and we have something to help you with it because we're Queen City Women in Business and this is what we do. Let me give y'all a quick link. How many of you would like to know in 2 minutes which companies historically buy your products and services? How many would like? Okay, so let me do this. Get me all off. Okay, let me quickly give you this link and then we're gonna get back to this so we can get going. So we have a link, it's called Supplier BI. BI stands for Business Intelligence. And if you use this link, I'm gonna put it in the chat. You don't have to do it now, you can do it later, but bit.ly Supplier BI will tell you which companies historically buy your services. And then it will give you the portals where you can go to register and sign up. Okay. All right. Who thought this slide was helpful? Just quick show of hands. Who thought it was helpful? Awesome. Okay, let's keep on moving because we got more to do. Also, create your business capability statement, ladies. Once you do this, create a business capability statement. It's a concise, well-organized document that looks like this. It serves as a marketing tool and never show up at an event where you're getting ready to meet buyers without it. If you're confused on how to build this video that's 12 minutes long is responsible for about 50 business capability statements being built in the last 60 days. And those women who used this video to build their business capability statement got calls back. Okay, so I'm never gonna give you something you can't use. So who wants me to quickly drop that in the chat? Does anybody want? Okay, all right. Well, let me, of course I have to comply, right? I can't disappoint you on a Saturday morning. All right, so let me put this in the chat. Awesome. Ladies, I'm telling you, some people talk, I'm about changing lives. Like use that. You can build a capability statement in 15 minutes if you watch the video first, and then there's a downloadable template for you to actually do. You will need a business capability statement, okay? Next. Finally, once you get certified, nobody ever tells you what to do next. Once you get certified, do this. Number one, be vocal. Be vocal and transparent. Tell everybody you can. Put it on social media. Dawn Nicole, why would I put it on social media? Because people are watching. Buyers are watching. People know people, okay? Put it on social media. Every certification, Kimberly does a great job at this. Kimberly was like, wait. And everybody's like, congratulations. I'm gonna go tell somebody. People know people. Tell them you got certified, be excited. Also, use that new certification news to go back and retarget big companies. Y'all better hear me this morning on this Saturday. Go back to those big companies that you wanted to be clients, right? And you're gonna send an email that says, hi, just following up. I wanted you to know that my consulting business is now SBE certified or MBE certified. And we'd like to know how we can engage with you to do business, right? Let people know, use it as a marketing strategy. Secondly, keep your certifications accessible and up to date. Thirdly, add those certifications to your LinkedIn profile, title, and business capability statements. Y'all listen, my business capability statement, it has about 5 certifications on it, and they're big. That's the first thing that they see, because these companies are more likely to pull you to the top of the list if they can see that you're helping them meet their diverse spend goals. Remember, I told you they have an agenda. You're helping them meet their agenda, and you're getting something out of it. Lastly, here's what nobody tells you. Register with companies in their diversity portal. I'm gonna say it slow. Every single company that you can dream of working with, from Walt Disney to Netflix to Bank of America to Exxon, if you Google Supplier Diversity Registration Portal, it will take you to the landing page, to the portal to register to do business with that company. Because the first thing they're looking for is to see that you registered to do business in their portal with the company. Second, they're looking for the certification. So again, first, are you even registered with us? Second, are you certified? I cannot emphasize this enough. So many women don't even know this exists. And guess what? It's a backdoor private. These are not on the main highway. Let me just tell you, these are not, I'm sorry, ladies, for whatever reason, they're not on Front Street. They're not loud and proud and big, right? For whatever reason, companies will make you dig to find this. You're gonna Google Supplier Diversity Registration Portal for Atrium, Supplier Diversity Registration Portal for Netflix. You're gonna Google that, and it's gonna take you right to the back door. You're gonna register, you're gonna put your information in, you're gonna add your certifications, and then watch this, I'm not done. You're then gonna take that company, you're gonna go on LinkedIn, you're gonna do a search, and you're gonna say Netflix Supplier Diversity Manager, Supplier Diversity Leader. Oh, it's Bob. Hi, Bob. My name is Jenny. I actually just registered in your portal. I'm a newly certified MBE. I'd love to pull a meeting with you. Hello? Ladies, no more time to be passive. If you want this, you gotta work for it. And that's what the work looks like. And at this, I'm done. And I hope this was helpful, and I'm gonna open it up to questions. Was this helpful? If so, give me some energy.